Hello folks, in the previous episode we reviewed how the dynamic update annotation of Hibernate improves scalability and concurrency of your applications that run on YugabyteDB. And today we'll take a look at another benefit of using this annotation in runtime. Let's take this example. Suppose you update a column or a record in PostgreSQL. The database will create a new version of the entire record even if you update a single column. But that's not the case in YugabyteDB. YugabyteDB creates only the versions for the columns that your application code updates. And this is the reason why you need to use the dynamic update annotation. So let's take a look at this in practice. Alright, let me show you around the source code that we are going to use for our experiments. So the application will connect to a YugabyteDB cluster running locally or in Docker. And the test looks as follows. First, we will connect to the database. We will remove all the existing pizza orders. After that, we will create a new pizza order with ID 1 and the status set to ordered. After that, we will read this order back from the database and we will change the value of the status column twice. First, the status would be set to baking and persisted to the database. And after that, we will change it to the delivering status and persisting back to the database. So 2 times the status column will be changed. And we expect that YugabyteDB will keep 3 versions of this column: ordered, baking, and delivering. So first, let's run this test without the dynamic update annotation for the pizza order entity class. And let's see what happens. Let's go back to the test. Let's run this test. The test connects to our database, and in a moment it will finish the execution. The test passed, but take a look at the SQL query that Hibernate used to update the status column. Yes, we updated the status column twice, but also the update statement includes the change for the order time. The order time was not changed, and this happens because by default, without the dynamic update annotation, Hibernate will be updating all of the columns that are listed in your entity class. So what's a side effect that it has on YugabyteDB database? So let's connect to the Docker container of our YugabyteDB node. Let's go here, and next I want to flush the mem table to disk. The mem table already includes multiple versions of the status column, so everything is flushed. And right now I can take a look at the raw data on disk in the SST table file. So we need to find that file first. It's here, and it should be SST table 1. So take a look here. Column number 1 records. This is my status column, and I have 3 versions, which is expected. So the first one that has the highest hybrid time represents the latest value, where the status is set to delivering. This is for the status of the value baking, and this is for the initial status that was set to ordered. But at the same time, I have 3 versions for column number 2, which is the order time. And all of those values for this column are the same. Why do we have those 3 versions for the order time? Because Hibernate requested us to update this column, even though the value was not changed. And this has the size amplification effect on your YugabyteDB deployment. How to get rid of this side effect? Right, we need to enable the dynamic update annotation back for our entity class. Let's quickly do that. Going back to the pizza order, enabling the dynamic update annotation, jumping back to our test, and let's run this test. So right now, when we execute the test, you will see that it passed as well, no any differences. But when Hibernate updates the status column, it updates only this column. You no longer see the order time column in the list, which is expected behavior. And now let's take a look at the mem table and are on the versions that are stored in YugabyteDB. First, we need to flush the mem table again. And next, we need to find the next SST table file, which should be under the number 1, 2. So now, looking here, you already see a few records. Column number 1, this is our status column. The highest hybrid time, this is for the latest value when the status is set to delivering. This is for the status of baking and the status of the ordered. And second column, order time, we only have a single version, which is expected because our application code has not requested to update the order time. So keep using the dynamic update annotation with YugabyteDB, because not only it helps to improve scalability and concurrency of your applications, what we reviewed in the previous episode, but also it helps to reduce the size amplification by keeping the versions of the columns that your application code updates. And I've got the next steps for you. If you like what we do, subscribe to this channel and also ring the bell to get notified about the future episodes of how to use YugabyteDB with Java applications. Stay tuned. Bye bye now.